Are you searching for a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world? Do you yearn for more balance, more peace, and purpose in your life? Well, look no further than the Intuitive Revolution podcast, your trusted source for holistic insights and intuitive guidance. I'm your host, Alicia Farricielli, and I am ready to take you on a journey to inner peace and balanced well-being. Welcome back to the Intuitive Revolution podcast. You guys, I always have some amazing guests on here today, but today we're going to talk about something that's very, very important. We're going to talk about heart-centered, and we're going to get a little bit into money, because as spiritual people, sometimes we don't really dive into the money, I want to say money mindset, but Morgana is going to teach us all about the difference of money mindset and the way that she approaches it. So welcome to the show, Morgana.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, how you got into doing what you're doing now.
Not by intention. I went to college and I got a degree in religion, and not even the mainstream stuff, like the most obscure, esoteric traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism and Judaism. You know, like my poor father asked me, why can't you get a real major, as he's sending me off to, this insanely expensive school. And it makes sense now, but my focus is always, and since I was one of those like really peculiar, deep, probably neurodivergent children, I was, as long as I remember, asking myself questions like, what is the nature of this universe we're in? What is it to be human? And how do we have a better experience here? I was the 12-year-old helping the grown-ups feel better about themselves. So I've been on this path a really, really long time. So this whole money niche was not on my radar. I was way in the spiritual side of let's help people. And, obviously a lot of the negative baggage that we spiritual do-gooders carry, I had all of it. I would even 30 something years ago, I've been coaching 31 years now. And I remember having these thoughts. And by the way, I had all these celebrity clients and mountains of testimonials. And at my lowest point, and all these certifications and wild success stories. And at my lowest point in March of 2003, I was struggling to make $100 a month in Los Angeles. Beat that. Don't. I'm just being a little competitive here.
That's tough.
Right?
Well, imagine.
Yeah, poster child. At this point, I had the website, I had the brochures. We had brochures, back in the dark ages when we had brochures. And I was doing public speaking and people wanted to hire me. And it was like I had these superhuman powers of repulsion. I can see myself with like a giant R on my chest. And it was devastating because you need money to survive, and not making money feels like life is rejecting you. And so I was doing all the mindset stuff. I had the vision board. I had the mantras. I was going down that rabbit hole. And I'm in LA, which is kind of the epicenter of woo. So I had friends who would wave their hands and blow in my third eye and change my money DNA. It didn't work. I would change my money story. Didn't work. I had a millionaire mindset. Didn't work for me. Whatever works for you, I'm not ever going to take that away from you. I'm just telling you, I don't know if it's this way or this way it's going to look like, but big L. So I started taking, marketing. I wasn't starting. I was like taking marketing and sales classes that were teaching me how to do things I was already doing. None of this was making sense. And it was really brutal because I was doing all the stuff that was supposed to work and it wasn't working. I was speaking. I had mountains of success stories. I was at the time specializing in the entertainment industry, where I had a really good reputation of taking people with like nothing, no credits, and getting them starring in TV shows or selling their first film for $1 million, which was money back then. And I had a really dark night of the soul. I had just taken a course on how to overcome sales objections. Lots and lots of people teach that, where these are the magic words to say when somebody says, oh, I would love to, but I can't afford it. I don't have time, blah, 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 blah. Yep. There are no shortage of people who will tell you what to say to turn that around. And I'm a good student. I mean, I'm such a good student that I was hit by a car, thrown in a coma, had a traumatic brain injury, and still graduated as a National Merit Scholar, even though after the head injury, it was a struggle. By the way, that's when my intuition originally really exploded. Since we're
I've
talking
heard so
about
many
intuition,
stories.
compensation, I'd always, been intuitive. I always knew things before I was supposed to know. But just to survive, things got really weird after the head injury because I went from being this easy straight A student and kind of arrogant about it because I assumed everybody, I just assumed we all had a level playing field. And then suddenly I had a brain that could not concentrate. I could not stay awake. I could not read a page and remember what I read. And it was a really good lesson in humility and respect for the experiences of other people and invisible disabilities. Great lesson, but I give the experience 0 stars and I would not recommend it or do it again. And the journey back to a functioning brain was very slow and hard. And along the way, I started having all these premonitions, just knowing things out of the blue before they would happen. And I scared some people, but it was the gift that I still use all the time, especially as a coach. We're going way off topic and I'll go back to this story because that's actually, I'm here to serve however it comes down. As a coach, my job, I believe, everybody will have their own definition, but to actually serve my clients, I need to really, really tune in. It's not just what they say and not just what the problem is, but what is going on underneath, because especially the money problem is never, the circumstances are very convincing and compelling and I respect them and I take them seriously, but I've never found the solution to the money problem in the money itself. And I'm going to get to that and what that means, because that's a big chunk of what I want you to take away. I want all of my spiritual do-gooder world savers to have a breakthrough in the itsy bitty time we have. I also know I'm not going to be able to go as deep and cover everything that I want to because we've got 30 minutes and and I've been doing this for 30 years. But my website and all that kind of stuff will be in the show notes. So back to teaching. Coaching, because you need to be tuned in, really just activates that intuition. The intuition is really, really important. A lot of the times I'll ask a question and I will hear the answer before my client does it. And that just helps me track where they are. And by the way, I'm totally, totally not attached to being right. If a client says I'm wrong, great, toss it out. I don't care. I'm just here to follow what that individual needs and get them where they need to be to have the change that they want. I even had one client from Kazakhstan who spoke almost no English and it still worked. So back to my story. Where was I? My tale of woe. So I had just taken this class on how to overcome sales objections. I'm a good student, so I did it. And 7 people in a row, I overcame their objections and they said yes. But the punchline is 7 people in a row didn't show up for their first coaching call or pay me. And that's when I gave up on life. On any possibility that I could survive, that I could make a living doing what I was really gifted at. It was like, universe says, this is what you're here to do, and we're not going to let you do it. And it felt so mean and cruel, and I felt hated, and I hated the universe back, and I just kind of fell off an emotional cliff. And I remember being in my little 1-bedroom apartment that I couldn't afford because I'm making $100 a month and living on debt. I know nobody watching or listening has any idea what I'm talking about, but you can imagine what that's like. And so I pulled the curtain shut, got on my bed and just screamed and wailed and poured my heart out until I had nothing left to cry. And I had 2 thoughts. And one of them was, maybe money needs to be my next area of spiritual growth, which, by the way, was a total cheat because we've already established that spirituality is my happy, safe place. And I thought, well, maybe if I hide the money in that context, maybe I can deal with it and then do what I'm here to do in the world. Legitimate, but that wasn't what changed my life. I also had a thought, and it was more a question, which is, what the heck is going on inside of me that can't be with money because this does not make sense on paper? People that I graduated from coaching school with were buying houses and they weren't getting as good results for their clients as I was. And I was struggling to make $100 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in this really dark place. I have these two thoughts, and the next day I have a session with my coach, which is crazy that I had a coach when I'm not making any money, and it saved my life. I've been coaching with him for a few months, doing everything. By the way, he owned a house and we graduated and got certified on the same day. That's how I knew him.
Wow.
And I was doing everything he suggested because I'm a good student, and nothing was working, and it's not his fault. And get this. So I wasn't making money, but I was also wasting money on coaching and classes and doing all the things. It was like money going out in multiple ways. I would always feel like, oh, well, maybe if I get certified in this thing, then I'll have the skill set so I can charge more, right? And so I just kept piling on the skills and the certifications. I've got a closet full of them.
Same.
They're great, but it wasn't helping me make money. So I show up on my coaching call after this big, dark despair, I want to die, I don't see any future for myself place. And this inspired something to come out of this inspired something in my coach that had never been there before. And he asked me this really weird, out of left field question that changed my life forever. And it was because I was in such a dark pit of pain, and I'll talk about why that is important, that it just sort of had this magical effect on me. And he said to me, if your money was a person, who would your money be?
That's good.
Right? And I'd never thought about that. And in that moment, because I was in so much pain and rejection and despair and fear and all that, I saw instantly a guy, not anybody I knew. In that moment, this first time that I ever had this experience, my money was this imaginary, big, scary, dirty, violent biker dude who caused fights and terrified me. I bald, long sideburns, white beater shirt, a tattoo or two on his shoulders, the jeans, the whole thing. And I suddenly saw myself at this live event with him, and I could feel how dangerous he was. And I could see myself watching him all the time to create maximum distance between us. And that was my big light bulb aha moment, that all this time that I was doing everything to make money and bring money in unconsciously, which is where we get all our results, I was keeping money far away as if my life depended on it. And he was really bad. So I knew there was no way that I could have money in my life if it was that dude, because he wanted to kill me. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about root cause when I finish the story, and then distill the steps that I've extracted from it. So I knew I couldn't have money in my life if it was him, and I had to get rid of him. I had to end that relationship. And if you've ever ended a relationship, that's a good skill to have right now. And at the time I just ended it, I have modified that step dramatically, and I'll tell you about that too. So got rid of the monster. I call the money monster. Yay! Heck! I live in LA, and now I have no relationship with money. And I'm feeling really gun shy because the only relationship with money I've ever known was an experience of betrayal and rejection and messages that I'm not good enough. And it was like, I don't want to be in that relationship again. If you've ever been in a really bad relationship, this is the time in the movie where you get the bad haircut, right? And you just want to change your life, and you swear off boys or girls or whatever, right? And that's where I was. But I also knew, hey, I live in LA and I need money to survive. So I need a new relationship. Who could I want so much as a person? Who could I want so much as a person in my life that I'd be willing to have a relationship with this person, even if he's money? And when I asked myself that question, I was on a roll. Honestly, I'm a terrible visualizer. I'm the kind of person, if you say, imagine yourself sitting by a river, I'll spend the next 45 minutes going through a slideshow of every river I've seen in my life. But because my emotional state was so heightened, first with the pain, and then with, and then the fear of this dude as my money, and then the relief of him being gone, it was like, oh my God, it was like this empty space. And then because all these feelings were so vivid, when I asked myself, who could I want so much? The new person showed up really easily. And this guy felt the polar opposite. He felt like love embodied, and he looked like this tall, dark, handsome, clean-cut sweetheart, and dressed in a tuxedo and holding a bouquet of red flowers as if he wanted to woo me. And I could feel how much he was longing for me and how much he loved me. Weird and wonderful. I never imagined money wanting to be with me. And it was like I was pushing this sweet guy away and breaking his heart. And I didn't want to do that. And I could feel he wanted to be with me, and I had no clue. I had like Olympic muscles to push money away. I was really well versed in that exercise. And I didn't know how to let money be with me. So I asked. I literally said, what do you need from me to allow you to be with me the way you want to be with me? And by the way, this is very, very important. I didn't ask, what do I need to do to make you love me? I didn't. He loved me already. The premise of the question that just sort of organically came out of me is that I actually have the power and I'm the gatekeeper. And he wants to be with me, but it's really up to me to allow. And since I didn't have a clue, I asked. And when you ask, you get an answer. And in that moment, this first interaction with my new relationship with money, which really felt like love and a new relationship with life. But I choose to call money because money is that area of life that needs my love and healing. So I asked him, what do you need from me? And he said, I need you to love me. And he said it with like such vulnerability. I just need you to love me. And I need you to stop treating me like a monster because it was breaking his heart. And I didn't want to do that to this sweet, trustworthy guy who shares my values and wants to save the world with me and thinks I'm terrific, and just wants to be with me. So I had to think, well, how have I been treating money like a monster? And a really obvious one is when people would want to hire me and they would ask me what I would charge, and I would choke with shame and dread and discomfort and guilt. And I remember even having weird thoughts like, well, Christ didn't charge. How do I know? I wasn't there. And why am I thinking that? Right? What does that have to do with anything? And I'm Jewish, so why am I even thinking that?
Better.
So I made a commitment that next time he brought me a gift, which would look like a client, I would say thank you.
That's good.
And to the gift, because that's all he wanted. So here's the funny thing is over the next few days, 4 people showed up wanting to hire me. And I could feel in my body and my throat and my tongue, like wanting to offer a sample session. No, I gave that person a sample session 6 months ago. She wants to hire me, right? I could feel the resistance in me. She just wanted to know how much I charged. And so I told her. And then I shut up, which is, as you can imagine, a Herculean task for somebody like me. And because when they get quiet, that just means they're figuring out how to pay. So it's time to shut up and just remember hearing in the back of my head that voice saying, just be quiet and treat the person like an adult and allow them to pay you. And so over the next few days, 4 people hired me at double what I'd ever charged before. And they kept coming and they kept coming, and my rates just kept getting higher and higher, and I would get waiting lists, and I started groups, and I do my Ultimate Money Goddess retreat in Bali. I'm doing the next one this year in June. I do it once a year. And I've made millions of dollars since then as the person who is struggling to make $100 a month. And I have a rule with my money, honey, is I only make money if I get to be in perfect integrity to my values, and I get to love my clients, and I get to enjoy what I'm doing and having fun, because money likes to have fun too. So we're on the same side. And that removes a lot of inner conflict. It's like taking the brakes off. I like to say that if love and service and saving the world is on one team and money is on the other, everybody loses.
Exactly.
So we have to get them working together. And then I've noticed that when we remove that obstacle, things can happen really big, really fast. So in this case, like the next day, clients. I've had much crazier stuff. I've had my client in Idaho. She bought my Money Goddess Experience Home Study course because I spoke at their wellness festival. And I had thrown in this like quick start call as the special bonus. And so I was having my 15-minute call with her. And while we were on the call, she got a ping that somebody wanted to look at her house, which had been on the market for years and nobody had looked at in over a year. And over that weekend, she sold the house for $1.2 million. So that's, I think, the record of the biggest amount in the shortest amount of time, but not the biggest amount by far. I have a lot of just weird synchronicities like that. And what I believe, because I get to make it up based on my own observations, because I've literally coached tens of thousands of people and I notice patterns and then I've come up with theories. I believe that all that effort that you were putting into that thing that you wanted, whether it was money or love or a health breakthrough, because these are, I think, the three primary ways that the universe gets our attention for our evolution is money, love, and health. And then lots of little variations on that. All that effort that you put in that looked like it was going nowhere, it's almost like it's building up this mountain of energy behind this safety wall that is protecting you from your personal monster. You are not a failure. You are very successful at protecting yourself from a threat. And the monster is real, and we have to destroy it and make it safe for you to have what you want. The second it's safe, client suddenly tests positive for pregnancy. It's like the eczema disappeared. The mold infection that was making a client go blind and losing her balance went away. In my case, I slayed my love monster in 2012, and I was 45 years old, never married. And I'd been looking since I was 4.5. And I met my husband 2 months later. And not only did I meet the person who was my first husband, but he came up with the idea, let's get married 100 times in 100 countries. So we've been married 28 times so far. And it's, I think, because I had just been putting all that energy into love, 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 and just hitting that wall. And I had to face what I was protecting myself from before I could, so that I could reject and get rid of what was not safe so that I could have what I wanted. We're probably running way over time.
We got plenty of time. Okay. You keep going.
I'm going to run through the 6 steps. Yes. Insert a question anytime. So after I had this experience and I have all these clients coming in, because they're human, they had money issues, because money is the number one excuse we human beings give for what we can't have, do, or be, because it's a measure of power and choice, right, and lots of things. I fundamentally say love, worth, and safety are the big issues. So, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So I had all these clients and it was like, well, it worked for me. Let's try it on them. And I have to, in like full shameful transparency, admit that the first several times I tried it, it just landed like a lead balloon, flat. And I'm like, why isn't it working for you? I'm thinking to myself, not blaming them, what's wrong here? And I had to really deconstruct what was going on behind the scenes that I wasn't consciously aware of when I went through the experience myself. And what I have found through excessive testing over really 20 plus years is I have never, ever, ever found the money monster in the money problem itself, in the money story. It is what money represents, which is love, worth, and safety. So the pain and stuff, especially if it doesn't look like money, like we'll start on the topic of money. What makes you think you have a money monster? You know, that's like a really easy place to start. But it's when we get off that topic and when we're talking about like the accident or the illness or the violence or the rejection, parents, friends, lovers, business associates, whatever, the eating disorder, which is any of those things that in your personal life and then also in the world, that makes the world feel unsafe and unloving to you. Anything that makes you not want to be here. And we build that up. And then we give it personhood, step 2, outside of yourself. And that becomes your monster. And we call it the money monster. But it's more than money. It's so much more than money. It is everything that has made you not want to be here. And when we get that fleshed out, I like to really make it as real as possible. I think why all those other programs didn't work for me is because it's so conceptual, like beliefs about money. It's all very abstract and I can get really brainy about it, but that isn't, the conscious mind is not where our results come from. It helps. I'm that good student, but our attitudes and beliefs and actions arise automatically from the subconscious. And that's what leads to the bulk of our experiences and our results. So we need to get the conscious mind and the unconscious mind on the same team, because if you're me and I'm going, I want to make money, and the subconscious mind is, we're protecting you from that Titanic, iceberg. You need to get both. You need to make them friends with each other. So personification is speaking the language of the subconscious and reveals a lot of things that we don't see consciously. So I want to build up the emotions, because it's not an intellectual exercise. I want you to just dig up the things that have the most energy, the most pain. I'm not a sadist, even though you might think so at this moment. It's like,
pain is where you heal.
Right. I call this process alchemy, financial alchemy, but the key word here is alchemy. Alchemy is the transmutation of leaden human experience into spiritual and material gold. So your leaden human experience is sacred. Your victim experiences are sacred. You've already paid the price of admission with your pain. Let's use it. Let's not waste it. So I want to light up your neurology and use that sort of like a slingshot. So we're going in the other direction. This is when you must take off your positive thinking law of attraction hat temporarily, buried in a lead box 30 feet below the ground. You will get it back automatically when we're on the other side, but it does not help you to minimize your pain or normalize your pain. I want to exaggerate it in step one, then blame it on this other person who's not you and not your parents, no matter how monstrous they might have been. And I'll explain that in step three. And you want this person to like have flesh and eyes and teeth and fingernails and thoughts and smells and be so bad because you put into this monster everything that you don't want in your life experience. And then in step number three, you get to make a choice. One of you gets to survive. It's like Highlander. There can only be one.
Ooh.
I didn't even watch that show, but my mom was really into it. So I remember that. Because the monster, with embodying everything that makes you not want to be here, is very, very dangerous. And while it's imaginary, it's also real to your subconscious mind, which cannot tell the difference. It's all real to the subconscious. So step number three is you annihilate the monster by any means necessary. And I'm a pacifist. I think half of my clients are vegan, and I understand the what? But I really want you, I want you to slay this monster. And it's kind of this like Kali Durga warrior for truth and justice and your spiritual way to slay the beast.
Energy.
What?
Your goddess energy coming through.
Absolutely. It's like victim energy, which I think is really important. It's the portal. We can't step over it. No spiritual bypassing here. That's why I think law of attraction often fails. We're really digging it up, and that's kind of a heavy, damp feeling. Now we've got this hot, rising energy of thou shalt not pass, to quote Monty Python and the Holy Grail, showing my age. So when it's gone, and there are like no bloody bits, no energetic traces, and it's completely gone, you will feel weird. You will feel different because you've had this all your life and maybe before. And ancestors, use the Holocaust, use the passage and whatever you have in your ancestral background. And today, to make it very, very personal, and you are killing all of it because you are that powerful warrior for yourself and your family and your children and everything you love and believe in. And when you slay the monster, everything that does not belong in your life experience, you've rejected it. And you will feel its absence, and all that remains is love. And some clients say it feels light and expansive. I've had a client on the other side of the world say, oh my God, the sun just came out. And I'm like, wow. I've even had clients say, wow, it feels kind of scary because it's unfamiliar. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Great. Different. All that remains is love. And now that's step three, getting rid of the money monster. Now we're into the fun part, to me at least. Which is now you get to meet your money honey. When all that remains is love, your money honey is love. And we want to make it a person. We don't want to make it Gandhi or Oprah or God. I did have a client whose money honey was Jesus. And I asked, is this a sexy Jesus? And she said, no. And then she came up with Antonio Banderas, and that worked better. Because we're not looking for money to save you or be Santa Claus or a fairy, because that's just another monster that takes away your power. We want money to be a partner who is head over heels ridiculously in love with you and sees your magnificence, even when you don't. Sees your power and talent and agency and resourcefulness, even when you don't. And loves you so you can see yourself through the eyes of this beloved and see yourself as you really are without all the baggage that, hides your shine from yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's step number 4. And the rules are your money honey, we're going to call it money, but your money honey loves you more than anybody in the world and chooses you. And you don't have to earn that love. Love is unconditional. And this person exists to love you and wants to be with you. So that's step 4. Step 5 is you have a conversation with your money honey, because love is unconditional, but presence isn't. And if you keep pushing him away, he'll be like, she doesn't want to be with me, and he'll just be heartbroken. Or she, pick the gender of your choice. It's just what lights you up. I find the kind of romantic dynamic, while not necessary, especially if you've had, trauma in your background and that's not safe, I find that even then having it as a sort of romantic partner can be very healing, because he will always respect your boundaries. So just make it who you can feel very safe and delicious with. I don't care about the gender. It can be sexy. It can also not be sexy. It doesn't matter. It's just like someone you want to be with who loves you and feels very, very safe. Like imagine just stepping into his arms and being able to and pour your soul out. So now step 5 is have a conversation. You are invited to steal my first conversation, which is, what do you need from me to allow you to be with me the way you want to be with me? Because I think that's a very good first question. And you will get answers that may be beautiful and not very helpful. Like, I need you to relax. Tell that to a woman. Don't, I need you to trust me. I need you to love yourself. All of which is like, right. And I don't think there's anybody in the history of humanity who has successfully loved themselves well enough every second for the rest of their life. So aspiration and then doable. What concrete measurable action can you take to demonstrate to yourself and your money honey that you are committed to this new relationship, that this relationship has changed? It's not the monster. You're in it with the honey. What concrete measurable action can you take to demonstrate more than anything to yourself that you are in and committed to this new relationship? So that's step 6 is the action, concrete measurable action. I could call you up on Thursday and you could tell me you did it, or you didn't. And what I love about this, and this is the magic of coaching, is I love the stuff that's weird.
I love it.
It's like,
weirder the better.
Yeah, it's like, I have no idea what's going to come up. And it could be balancing your checkbook or filing your taxes. And then I have a client who comes back and says, oh my God, that was like foreplay. And I'm like, great. Or calling that person who owes you money or whatever. It can be that. That's great. That's totally, taking that action that you weren't going to do, that you were putting off. If that lights up your money honey and gets him or her really excited and turned on, do it. And I also get stuff like, get a manicure, go dancing, go to France. I had a guy client back in, I think it was so long ago. I'm trying to remember what year. I think it was like 2000, way back. And his money honey turned out to be this elegant French woman who said, I want you to use me for things that are worthy of me. And so she wanted him to go on a trip to Paris with his son. And he did. And in the next 6 weeks, he made over $1 million. Yeah. So I never know how much or when. That's like a mystery to me. That's always really fun, because that's like the frosting, and there's a lot of frosting. And it's, my website is and that's just the tip of the iceberg, but just, all these stories. And I'm as shocked and amazed and delighted as the next person. And the reason I'm on your show, and I've been on finance shows, and I've been on Coast to Coast Radio and Fox News and everything in between. But to me, in full honesty, I don't think my work is about money. My work is really about our relationship with life.
Yeah.
Ourselves, existence. And money is just a really useful side effect. And since we're talking to sort of, a healer, intuitive crowd, it is the area of life that needs our love and healing so that we can do our work in the world. It's like, I get a lot of spiritual masters as clients who have achieved everything else. And money is that last, deepest, darkest area of personal growth that is just calling to them as a spiritual teacher. There's
so much money, and you think of it as energy. There's so much of this. And so we see such a divide, and I want to say wealth, actually, in the entire world, but in the US. It's like, why can't we have the spiritually awaken, the spiritual love and that wealth?
Yeah.
So I think it's more important than ever to develop this and to use it as a tool. It's a huge tool to be able to reach more people and to spread the love and joy and abundance, not just with money, to other people too.
Yeah. Well, my dream is a whole planet of everybody who has what they need.
Yeah.
And not just, first, of course, physically, but also a sense of enough. Because here's the interesting thing. I think maybe I mentioned I've coached couch surfers and I've coached billionaires and everything in between. And they all have their anxiety of losing it, being targets, not having it, not being able to live, all of it.
Yeah.
And they are all shockingly alike. They're all the same human. I was going to say shit, so I just did. It's just the same human stuff about, just not being lovable, not being worthy, not being safe, just all of it across the spectrum. It just looks different. And so I look at these people, these oligarchs in the world who have so much, who are acting like the most insecure kid in the class. And I do believe that the harm and the pain that they are inflicting is coming from a really deep and horrible inner sense of scarcity and poverty and pain.
Yeah.
Do I like them? No. Do I have compassion for them? Absolutely. They have their own monster. We can't fix them. We can't fix people. But this kind of group of people who really want to, you want to fulfill your potential. You want to live a life that gives you the freedom to focus on quality of love, quality of lifestyle, quality of legacy. Because I think those are the three things that make us human beings happy: love, lifestyle, and legacy. You have bad health, making lots of money, doing terrible things. I've had clients making millions going, but I don't want to make millions doing that. I want to do this. I want to coach. I want to heal. I want to serve. And that's a monster. So if we can't support our healers and do-gooders, then we lose our healers and do-gooders. So that's why that's so close to my heart, because I know the pain from, the inside. If you can have a relationship with money that wants to save the world with you and that you can feel good about saying yes to. Oh, here's something. Way back in 2003, when I had these people right after I had my change suddenly coming out of the woodwork wanting to hire me and requiring me to have the fortitude to let them hire me. And it may sound funny, but it was a real problem. And I had to literally think of my beautiful, sweet money honey when I stated the fee. So I went from that energy of money being this big, stinking, embarrassing, shameful, terrifying monster that I didn't want anybody to know about, that everybody could feel, to this is my fee, and isn't he cute? Just like love. And then I just, let it go with love. And that's when people come, because I think love is magnetic.
It is. This has been so beautiful. So let's leave our listeners with if you had their number one tip of someone who's wanting to come over the scarcity of, let's say, money, financial abundance.
I've been saving this. Because I knew you were going to ask me something like this at the end. So I've been wanting to say it the whole time, and now I'm going to say it now. Change happens at the speed of safety. If you're doing everything and you aren't getting the results, something isn't safe. So yay team you, being all in to protect you. Yay, we love that. And protecting yourself from what you want and need could really kill you, especially if it's money. So we need to, first I want to just honor that you're not a loser, you're not a failure, you're super successful at protecting yourself from a real perceived threat. Yay. And now your duty is to make it safe. So, because that's when things change, especially if you've been doing all the right things and it doesn't make sense. It is my experience that there's something unsafe about what you want. And now it's not your fault, but now that you have the ability to respond and change that.
Yeah. Love it. That's a beautiful thing to leave everybody with. So for all our listeners that want to work with you, Morgana, what's the best place for them to contact you?
MorganaRae.com is the mothership. I've got hundreds of videos and articles. I've got my money love quiz. It's pain-free and based on your responses. I'll just suggest some free or low fee, resources to start with, because I think we're all on the same journey towards, focusing our whole lives on love, lifestyle, and legacy. And we're just in different places. So yeah, go to my website, and I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I'm just going to...
It'll be in a couple, a week or two. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have my Money Goddess, Ultimate Money Goddess experience in Bali. I've been doing it since 2012. It is, I think, the most powerful, magical thing I do. And every woman I will coach, I keep it to 8 women or less so that I can coach every single woman from monster to honey, and you'll know it. And then we have a whole week. It's not a group thing. I coach each woman personally. And then we have a whole week to build on that, because I want the shift to last. And my women talk about their lives before and after Bali with me, making millions of dollars, finding their soulmates, healing, all that wild stuff. So it's my favorite thing to do. I have 3 spots left at the time of this interview, and you can check it out and just apply for a free interview. And if it's not a fit, great. We had a meaningful conversation and connection, and I will be rooting for you whether you come or not. But you can apply for an interview on that page, because, I want to make sure that it's a good match and that women will have the result that they want if they come with me. So I like to, it's kind of invitation only. So yeah, Money Goddess Retreat this year is June 8th to 13th in Bali. And you're lucky enough to be finding out about it before it's full.
Yes, there are more spots, guys. Yeah. Sign up. I can't go, unfortunately, but yes, you need to go. I have a retreat prior to that, and then we're leaving for Europe for 3 weeks. So, but yeah.
Oh, that's the best excuse.
It's a true, honest, I can't, yeah.
No apologies necessary. That sounds wonderful. Have a great time.
Yes, awesome. And I'm sure yours will be beautiful. I can't wait to learn about it on Instagram and all the fun places to follow you as well. So all of her show notes will be in the description. All of her contact information will be in the description. So please go follow her, go check out that retreat. I've learned so much stuff every single episode from people, but I was just sitting there like, what? Yes, this is amazing. And usually it's like they're longer the episode than typical, but it was such great information. You gave it such value. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story.
Thank you so much.